Staying woke.
Stay woke. Just stay aware. And also just pay attention to your own cycle and patterns. It's not necessarily even about that person specifically. True. It's not even, because to me, it's not. Like, it's about
looking on pages that you've disconnected and
unfollow these people. All your exes, unfollow these men. Unfollow them. We don't need to follow them. What are we looking for? What are we looking?
They not leading.
And you don't need to, you're not gonna be with them. You're not, you don't need to be with them. You don't really want to be with them, but then you start seeing the pictures and you just helping create something that doesn't need to be created. Just either block, unfollow, that doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just means that you're moving on.
Not for you.
It's time to move on. It's time to move on. Hello and welcome to the Bold Black Girls Podcast. I'm Aries.
And I am Kim.
Good afternoon.
Great afternoon. Let's see. So today is Sunday.
It is.
Here we are. I think I texted you today. It was like, are we recording before or after live? Because I was trying to figure out how my day is going to go. So before we kind of get into that,
you're trying to plan your naps.
I was trying to plan my naps and my activity, actually.
Because we went live today. That's what you were talking about when you said live. Yes. We went live. We're going live now. This is the second Sunday in a row talking about When Women Pray.
10 Women of the Bible.
Yeah, 10 Women of the Bible, the book by T.D. Jakes. So we did a live earlier. And now we're recording the podcast. So.
Yeah, so let's catch up because I know you are busy, right? We're both busy in our own aspect. You more so because you have the kids, and just because I'm in a new role, still learning. How has your week been? Because I don't know that we really get to talk a lot. Because I go to bed at 9:00.
You go to bed way too early. I'm up late, and so because my day kind of when yours ends, that's like my time to myself, so it doesn't end right away. So I usually end up texting Kim at midnight, 11, something like that. I know she's not gonna respond. I just need to send it to her so that when she wakes up at 5 a.m. that she reads it and she has it, because it's like when it's in my mind, I gotta get it out, or I'm gonna forget about it. So yes, this week actually was, as far as my homeschooling role, this was a great week.
And we'll get more into that.
Like that for me was like the best thing about the week. But what I do this week, I'm when I say I be in this house, it's times where I'll be like, I haven't been anywhere, but I get in the car and go like pick up my groceries out, or
you are getting fresh air.
Yeah, I go sit in the backyard all the time, so I'm always getting some kind of fresh air, but still like just moving and shaking. I haven't been moving and shaking this week at all. I just been kind of low key, did a couple of calls, and not much.
So I'm trying to think for me. Well, I get out and go work out regularly. So I did that. So I make sure I get out. So that continues. I do feel like, okay, I know we're still in the midst of a pandemic, but it doesn't feel like a lot of people feel that way.
I had to tell somebody today. I had some people come over to give me a quote for painting the house. And I'm watching the guys as they're getting out the car, and I'm looking like, they better have a mask on because you're not getting up in here. And I'm at the door with my mask on, and one of the guys came. He had one of the kind that you like have around your neck, and then they pull it up. You know, those like look like a scarf almost or something.
Oh yeah, I'm not a fan.
I know they're kind of weird. I don't know. And the other guy was just coming. I said, do you have a mask? Because
like
you know we in the pandemic, right? I said, you know we in the pandemic. He's like, oh, okay. And then he go and get one. And I'm like, y'all just walking around without a mask?
Honestly, I feel like I'm gonna start, like, I haven't had any home repairs just because I'm afraid of people coming in. And I've just kind of pushed it off. Like, I have something where I need a handyman to move some stuff for me.
We need a handyman that we can
We need
share.
a really good, reliable handyman that's pretty much.
I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna find out because I'm gonna text Miss Jerry in a little bit. She's the lady in my neighborhood who has the exact same house as me, but hers looks way better on the inside. She's retired educator, no kids. Like, she just has invested in her house, like, you know, in ways that I'm like, girl, I didn't shelled out too much dough to even think about it. But now it's like we've been sitting in here and you kind of want to do stuff. So she drove by the other day and I said, I'm coming by. She said, and I'll tell you everything you need to do in there, you know, because I told her that I need I want to do some like weatherproofing, you know, just caulking and making sure, because the weather about to get cold and little bugs be trying to hide somewhere warm, you know, so that they don't get whatever. So I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna get a list. I'm sure she got somebody that we can share.
Well, I definitely know. I feel like I'm like the stores, like put on my door, mask required before entering, because I don't feel like I should have to remind them. And if this is a state mandate, you should have a mask on.
I need to get a sign like that to put on my front door whenever.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm actually planning to get a sign for solicitors, because in the beginning of the pandemic and during, I had solicitors, and I'm like, what possibly could you be selling that you think I'm gonna open my door for?
Pest control. That's the
security.
main one. Security.
Which I'm like, I'm here at home. I don't need that security. I'm here. We're very secure in here.
After a storm, it's roofing.
I guess you're right.
So it's always kind of like, you know,
it's something to sell. So yeah, my week has been very productive. Friday I had a wellness day, so I took care of some personal items that I needed to take care of that I have not been able to take care of during the work week.
Wellness day.
So I was very productive in a sense on Friday, and proud of myself. And we're gonna get more into that, but I think that's pretty much it for this week. Didn't do anything.
Low key.
We haven't been networking virtually. I mean, I haven't.
I networked on the week when we had ATW's meeting on the 8th, but I haven't.
About it.
I haven't. It was actually really good. Jeannie was the moderator. Well, she did a fireside chat with this lady who's a COO. She's Hispanic. She has a great story. And she was just really cute. She had a really great personality. It was really good. They're going to put it on the YouTube page. Also, Kim's interview that she did for our executive leadership forum is on YouTube. I texted them the other day and told them to change the thumbnail, because remember, you had taken that on last minute.
Yes.
Remember? So they had the same graphic from whatever they had before that, before that started. And I'm like, you need to put her picture on this graphic.
Oh, wow. Thanks. I didn't even know that.
So anyway, I'm going to check with them this week and see if they update it, because that's something you can just update quickly if you need to. But yeah, so it's on there. They've uploaded a bunch of videos like this week. So
I didn't know that. Okay, so I'll have to go out there and check it out. But I need to get back into at least attending one network event a month. I just needed to give some grace, and you just got to know when to step back and take a break.
Yeah, and it's just tiring.
And I feel like, with the seasons changing, fall, holidays coming up, you just need to sometimes sit and be still. For me, there was something significant this week. So my dad's birthday.
Let's see your shirt you have on for those who are on YouTube. My dad meant
the world to me then and now.
I love it. Shout out to Black Owned Message in a Bottle.
Yes. Yes, I love her t-shirts. So his birthday was Thursday, and I think on the podcast, I don't know if we caught it, but my mother's birthday was on the
Mhm.
10th. So for his birthday, we commemorated by finally going to get him a headstone because
Right.
he didn't have a really nice one. So we went and bought him a really nice headstone. So I was glad to do that.
Mhm.
And I just feel like, we talked about on our live about angels. I really felt him on that day.
Ooh, like what? What was the
So there are some things like my dad was real handy, right?
Mhm.
And so with the pandemic, um, and we're not spending money on frivolous things. I mean, you really can see what you're spending your money on, what you were, and what you should have been, but you weren't. I'm like, I need to be doing some things around the house, kind of going back to what you said. And so in Texas, we have a thing called foundation here, right?
Mm.
So
Well,
your
everybody
house,
has foundation, but they don't have that dirt that's under our homes that's like clay. And
yes,
it is we a lot of us have foundation problems over the years because the moving of the
the
surface.
clay.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this has been something on my to-do list, but of course it's not a very cheap uh
Not at all. I
at
got
all.
mine
So
done.
I've been saving towards it, like trying to be more intentional. And then, I mean, it's easy to save for things nowadays because you can't go anywhere. So
True.
it's actually been beneficial for me. And so I was like, gosh, I really want to make sure that's done in 2020, right? I have my little checklist of things to do. So I got home, we parked in the front, which I really don't do. My neighbors next door were getting their foundation fixed. And you know about the foundation is picking the right person to do
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the guy next door, I just went out there to check my mail, and the owner walked up to me and was just like, "Hey, how you doing?" I was like, "Good." And we just started a conversation. I was like, "I actually need to get my foundation fixed." And he was like, "Oh, really?" He was like, "Well, I live in a neighborhood, so I'm familiar with the homes in this subdivision. So he's gonna come out." And I was just like, that was my dad orchestrating that because
Mm-hmm.
he is the handyman, right? And here it is. I'm kind of like thinking about, okay, I got to get this done. Bam! I walk out, is right there before me.
And you know what I did? Just as a sidebar about the foundation thing, hired a engineer. They have a private engineer to come out and do an assessment, like him to tell me what's wrong. And then when I got those quotes, seeing if they saw the same thing. So I could tell if you know what you're talking about. Are you trying to add extra beams or, whatever? So like getting those estimates and stuff like that. But that's good. I'm glad you felt his presence as you were making these decisions. And I mean, there's some grown woman stuff out here trying to take care of these houses, y'all.
Girl, by
It-
yourself, like just the fact of everything, like a car, the home, your kids. It
Mm,
is. And that's why we need to rest.
you got to rest.
And so I believe in it.
Look, we know you love your naps. Dr. Darius Daniels in his message today was talking about, he said, I thought about how Jesus walked everywhere and like he took a lot of naps. He was working out and napping all the time. So
And that's been my life. That is my life.
sleeping on the boat. He was sleeping on the, like they talk about how he was resting. And it's like he needed to rest. He was doing a lot.
Yes.
So we
So
also need to rest.
yeah. So tell me, let's kind of get into what we want to talk about today, right? There's been a lot of things going on just in general, trying to stay focused, professionally, personally, and politically. I feel like with this whole shift of fall and the upcoming election, staying woke is important. And we've talked about this on a previous podcast about staying woke.
Yes, we did. What was that? Was that last year?
I think it was, but I wanted to put a spin on it this year, like staying woke politically, professionally, and personally.
Mm.
So let's kind of get into staying woke politically. So tell me, staying woke politically. Here in
Mm-hmm.
Texas, it's early voting. It opened on Tuesday. I think you text me like, "Hey, did you go vote?" And or you must have texted like, "Hey, I went to go try and vote. There was a long line."
Oh my God. You said this last week. So we were talking about it last week, and I was like, I'm gonna be right there, bright and early, ready to go. And I got up early that morning, got my stuff together before the time that it was supposed to open up. I told LJ, I'm like, I'll be right back, And then I went out there, and when I drove up toward that library, it was all the way wrapped around. And that's what Miss Jerry, my neighbor, who I need to talk to about the house, she said the same thing. She did the exact same thing I did. She said, girl, it was around the parking lot so much to where parts that I didn't even know existed in the library, at that library. It was all the way around the corner. I was like, oh no, that's not going to happen. So I turned a U-turn right in that street and went right back home. And then what we ended up doing was going on Thursday so me and my mom strategized, because I said, okay, let's think about the times that people will not be in line. We said we're going to go wait a couple days. So we went on Thursday, but then we also went at around 2:15.
Yep.
Right before people would have to be in line to go get their kids from school. So if you have kids, then I'm like, they're not going to be standing in a line because you got to go get your kids.
You have to pick the kids up.
Exactly. So I'm like, we got there about 2:30.
Okay.
And we went right on in and right on out.
Okay. See, and I told you, I knew I was not going to go on the first day. I got a couple of text messages like, hey, someone's like, did you go vote? I was like, I just woke up. Right. It was like 9:00 a.m. or 9-ish. And you know, I'm an early bird, but Tuesday, my body told me to lay there. And so I laid to 9:00. And when you texted and said you had tried to go vote and someone else said they were waiting in line an hour, I'm like, okay, early voting here is almost 3 weeks. I'm like, I have plenty of time to go.
I usually go like the last couple days before it's over.
I do too, but I'm not doing that this year. So I'm going this week because I knew the first day the turnout would be this way, right? This is an election of...
Yeah, this is major. This is one of the bigger ones. I mean, I feel like they're all important, but
yeah, it's a little bit different.
We need to keep that same Obama energy that we had when we was all trying to be out there and bring him in.
Or someone said the same people that stand in line to get in the club for the Jordans and she just went down the line for the games. She said, I hope they have the same energy to stand in line for voting. I was like, you know what?
The buffets and the whatever else people said about it.
So I commend you for going. I plan to go this week, and I intend to take my young adult child because I saw someone posted that they had taken their son, but they weren't. They were together, but they weren't, and so they pretended like, "Oh, we can't find you." And she said, "I went over there and was like, I'm sorry, like to clarify things." But it's just like they're trying to suppress the vote by saying, "Oh, we don't see you in here." Mm-hmm. I drive around with my voter's registration card.
Look, okay, I was mad because I couldn't find mine, but they didn't ask for all that. It was just ID. I had a screenshot of all my stuff on the phone though. I had that.
That was smart,
just in case something tries to. And I had my passport. I had all the things that they could be trying to, multiple.
So you were prepared. ID. You had a plan.
Yes, you got to have multiple forms of ID if you can, just to be safe.
Okay, I'm gonna take my passport as well. So, I mean, I haven't had any problems, but again, this is a different type of election. They might try and pull different types of shenanigans, as I call them.
And a lot of that depends on where you live. Just being honest, that in certain districts that are predominantly Black or Hispanic, you usually are going to see a lot more of that in those areas because obvious reasons.
So we're going to call that tricks of the enemy, right? So since we're speaking of tricks of the enemy and kind of going in line with the theme of stay woke, there has been a little bit of controversy from Ice Cube, right? In regards to him supposedly contributing to Trump's plan or kind of working with him on a plan for the Black agenda.
And the thing about it I just think we got to just be more, let's just open our minds a little bit here, guys and gals. I don't get real worked up on a lot of like stories that just blow up. It's just too much. Like I already knew way before this that Ice Cube had been presenting this contract. What did he call it?
Contract with Black America.
Contract with Black America. And he worked with some people on that. It's not like it's just Ice Cube wrote a contract. It's him and some other people who have political, influence and stuff like that.
Right.
Anywho, he don't care who wants to look at it. And that's kind of how we got to get out of this mindset of that. We don't have to be any party. we don't really have to be a part of either of these parties. True. It's not Democrat, Republican. This is about Black America, because right now we're not on anybody's agenda, really. Like, they have these plans, and a lot of the plans that I've seen have a lot to do with mass incarceration. Like, all of us are in jail. Like, that's one of the things that we all just, obviously we don't want to be put in jail for something we didn't do or for no reason.
Right.
But everything ain't about jail. When it comes, it's like every time they talk about Black people, they talk about law and order and all this. And it's like, we're regular. We got lives. We just want to be treated fairly, you know? Yes. But he had that contract, and basically he presented it to both of them. The Biden camp basically said they were going to wait till after the election, because they just like, we don't even know if we're going to win. You know, like, right. We gonna wait after we win. We'll talk to everybody about all the things, you know, to perfect this plan. He has it was called Lift Every Voice, which I hate the title. Yeah. So, and I don't think Ice Cube even saw his plan. So, the other thing was the Trump administration was like, yeah, we'll talk to you, because they're looking for any Black person that says that they like him, or that they will work with him or whatever, so that they could try to get more Black people to vote. That's period. I mean, this is just like a trick of the enemy. This is one of those things where it's like, we're in an election. People are voting right this second. So they couldn't wait to tweet, we're working with Ice Cube. And basically what they said he did was just took whatever the plan he had, everywhere that they said minority, they put Black, and his platinum plan, whatever he calls it. Right. And I'm like, okay, so first and foremost, if he wins and he actually listens to Ice Cube, great. I'm gonna say, good job, Ice Cube. You did that. Thank you. But he's been the president for 4 years. He has not done nothing other than really hurt Black America in so many ways. And if he does get elected, I mean, there'll be a lot more ways that that's going to happen, specifically with our healthcare. That's top of the agenda for him to get rid of. So lots of stuff like that. I'm not mad at him for talking to anybody at the point where we, the type of things that we need to get going. Yeah. Talk to whoever you want to talk to. Talk to whoever will make it happen, you know, or who's listening to make it happen. But I just think that people make kind of more of a big deal than necessary. And it's like, even if we don't want Trump, if there is an opportunity for us to be at a table, not saying for photo ops or to be like kissing his butt or nothing like that, it's better to have somebody at the table than not at all to represent our voices. So I'm not one of those people that's against meeting with the president about things if you have to. I think that that's not, don't bank on that or like use that as your, you know, right. I don't think that's something that he was trying to do per se. Like, I think he just was like, who wants to look at my stuff? Okay, I'm gonna talk to you. But I hope that he knows, I hope that he sees, you know, the plot, especially right now with this election stuff going on. I mean,
and the commercials, girl, the commercials.
And he got all the,
yes. If you don't pay attention to those commercials,
he got every Black man with a do-rag on all his. I'm like, where are you finding these people? And how much money did you pay? Yeah. He had, was that last week? Did we talk about that last week? All those, no. The people that he had with the blue t-shirts that said "Back the Blue" and then the "Make America Great Again," and it was a bunch of Black folks and Hispanics and stuff. Did you see that?
I did not.
Apparently, Candace Owens, they said, was one of the ones that helped bring these people to the White House. This is when he did his first like White House event before he was even told that he didn't have COVID. Before we, you know, he still was whatever. And you look in the crowd and it's these people out there all with the red. It's just a sea of red hats and blue shirts. You could tell they just had them put that stuff on, right? And they just don't look like people that will be random. You know, they look like people that you probably just got off of the street and gave a shirt and said,
here, I'll give you, if you do this, I'll give you this.
I'll give you $20, you know, or whatever it was. I mean, that's what it seemed like to me. It just looked like you just gathered some folks.
sad.
and paid them and told them to put the shirt on and come act like you support me. Because I'm like, who are these people? Like, who would
Crazy.
actually do this? Yeah. So that was one thing with the Ice Cube.
Right. And then we had Diddy proposing our Black Party, right?
Yeah, and our Black Party was already established, but they just were really, really grassroots, you know, from the bottom. They had an interview on the Black Breakfast Club earlier this year. Diddy, what he did was he joined forces with them, and he provide the financial backing for the group so that they can grow as a platform. And what I like about our Black Party is that he's like, you can be a part of whatever political beliefs you want. You can be Democrat, Republican. He said he's an independent, moderate, whatever you want to be. What its focus is, girl, that gnat, when I tell you he is trying to fight me, this gnat.
I've been dealing with this gnat all day.
I almost slapped myself in the head because I saw him laying right here on my forehead.
Like Pence.
Right. I'm like, what you trying to say? That I'm sweet. But no, it's focusing on the black agenda. Yes. It don't matter what party you in. What we need to do is what he's trying to do is organize us and have us strategize on ways that we together can really focus
Killer Mike
on.
Say, we have to organize, mobilize,
organize, and strategize towards the black agenda, because right now we're not a part of the conversation. We're not being discussed. We're not being dealt. You know, our issues are not at the table at all. They're not thinking that we are a factor. And so if we can do this in a unified way, and he said that it's not for everybody, because some people just don't care. If you care, then this would be a good one just to be a part of. I actually signed up so I can get more information and stuff. But yeah, I'm all for that, because he talks about these local elections and really creating something where we can energize other black children, people to become a part of the political process. And we can be having people running for these, you know, city councils and all these things. On the ballot this year is a measure to remove LaShadion from the city council in McKinney, by the way.
Wow.
A friend of mine who so the way they did this, and this is why I'm like, this is why we need to learn more about this political process. He represents District 1 in our city. Okay. Here go that. I'm gonna fight this thing. I'm telling y'all, I need it. And he's dead. Got him. He was fat. So anyway, he represents a district that's very poor, and it's probably the poorest part of McKinney, you know, that part that he's over there. They want to remove him because he was talking about it's a state of black emergency, that we're not being taken care of. Like, they just don't like that he calls them out on the things that need to be called out. So the mayor doesn't like him. They're trying to get him off the city council, basically. But what they did was, to do that, they put this measure on the ballot so that everybody gets to vote. Why am I voting? I'm not in his district. I should not be voting for him to be gone if he's not in my district. So these are the other little things that they do. Like, I had to tell my mom, because she was just going in and we were right by each other and we were voting. And I'm like, on that part, say no. Right. I'm just like, I'm glad you told me, because I didn't know. See? And so exactly. So
the importance of staying woke.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of little stuff. So learning about the political process is valuable, I think, in that we just need to.
And I even took time this week to listen into the U.S. Supreme replacement for RBG. And just listening to her, like, I think I'm more aware. And I just did that. Like, I'm like, let me listen to this and see what she's talking about. And I can't say that I've done that in the past, like really sit down and listen. Like, I'm more now in tune in listening to the candidates and what they represent, who they represent, who they're for and who they're not for.
It's a big deal, especially the Supreme Court. I mean, they're there really to make sure that
the law is enforced. And yeah,
and it's like, if you have people there that are leaning toward one way the whole time, it's unbalanced. And so one of Biden's promises to Black people was that he would pick a VP that was a Black woman. Well, he said that earlier, but he ended up doing that. And he said he was going to put a Black woman on the Supreme Court, which
that would be awesome.
That is why this is a big deal. You know, Trump is trying to hurry up and push this lady in
before the election.
Yeah. And so you'll hear a lot about packing the courts and them saying the Democrats are trying to avoid it, which I think they should stop avoiding it and just say why they should be trying to. I don't like the term packing, but it needs to be balanced. Yeah. It just doesn't make sense. If we have 6 Republican and 3 Democrat, that's not fair.
That's not equality. That's not equality.
Women's bodies are at stake here. Roe v. Wade being reversed, things like that. I mean, this is a big deal. And the people don't have a chance to be a part of that process because they're waiting until they're trying to push that right now. Something's in my eye. So yeah, just staying aware. I don't watch the news all day, every day, because I just can't. I don't care enough about. I can't overwhelm my mind with some of that stuff.
Same.
I try to get my highlights in or check some of the stuff out. But
yeah, and you know what? The importance too of voting, you think about it. I read an article, right? George Floyd's birthday would have been this week, October 14th. Mm-hmm. And that article was so good. It talked about like this, he didn't have a chance, but it goes back to he was brought up in poverty. So he's living in poverty. The school systems don't have the resources, right? So he already had 2 strikes against him. Mm-hmm. Black male living in poverty. So how could he overcome that adversity if he doesn't have the resources? And what we're voting for are resources for us so that we can overcome these things.
Yeah, because they're systemic. And for us to not acknowledge that, like Mike Pence, that's why when he had that fly guy on his head, it was because he was talking about ain't no systemic racism. And I'm like,
lies. How
is it not? Yeah, anyway, that was crazy. So yes, be aware, stay woke politically.
So let's talk about professionally. So we talk about systemic racism, right? That boils down into professionally as well. And as Black people, Black women, we also have to stay woke.
Yes.
So tell us how you stay woke professionally and maybe what's something that you have done this year so that you are able to stay woke.
Well, what I did this week was I hired a coach. I found a coach that an executive coach that also she does coaching on speaking and like creating talks. And because I have 3 things that I wanted, like a goal of mine is to create 3 different talks that I do, 3 keynotes, I guess.
Yes.
So she's going to help me with that. Also, she does what they would call, I guess, like I don't even call it extraction, but it's like if you want to write a book and you want someone to ask you questions to help draw that stuff out of you, she does that as well. So like,
okay, that's good.
Yeah. So like helping you kind of get to those stories. Cause sometimes like if you just sit in front of a computer, like for me and just start typing, I can't think of all the stuff. But if I'm talking to somebody who is asking me the right questions and all that, it'll bring up stuff that you probably forgot about or, you know, whatever. So that's another piece. So I'm super excited. We hit it off like right away. I met her through Sisters in Sales.
Yes.
She was the moderator of the whole thing, and we connected on LinkedIn. And then I saw that she was a communications specialist or whatever. So she has her own consulting firm over the last like 12 years, doing communications and all these different things, and coaching and stuff. And so then we just set up an appointment to talk, and like it's like immediately, it was like we already knew each other. We're like, girl, I've been waiting to talk to you. I'm so glad to talk to you this week. Like we both were just super excited about it. We had a great conversation. She's actually in the process of writing a book herself.
That is awesome.
So I'm excited. So
I'm so proud of you. And that's a part of investing in ourselves. And we've talked about this on the podcast before, like investing in a resume writer, investing in coaching. I mean, we can stand to say, let's save some money towards our professional development, right? Investing in that. And even being creative to say, okay,
Your
let me,
company.
yep, negotiate conferences or special coaching. So I am so glad to hear that. I can't wait to hear about your experience. I usually follow suit kind of behind you, so I'm gonna let you see what your experience is,
Right.
and then that's good that we develop a village where you can be like, girl, you know what, you might need to invest in this. This is good. It's just like we're looking for a handyman. We're gonna leverage and recycle those resources, right?
Exactly. She does group coaching as well. She does a
She
bunch of different
does.
styles of types of coaching. So
Okay.
I figured, I'm like, look, Jordan had a coach, Kobe had a coach, like if you want to
LeBron
be the
probably has a
best,
coach.
but if you want to be the best of whatever,
You need a coach.
you need to invest in yourself. You need someone that can, if I'm saying that my son is going to be in the NBA or the next whatever, I'm going to invest in like a private coach
Yeah.
or somebody that can like work
Or a
with them,
trainer. Yeah.
trainer. Same thing, tutors, like people who are going to walk with you through these things.
And
And
help
so for
refine
me,
that skill.
you could speed up something that would have taken you 5 years to 12 months, maybe, if you have the right people in place
Yeah.
that can help you create those systems and hold you accountable, to that. Because a coach is different than a mentor, right? That would
Agree.
be a different influence. You need both. I mean, I feel like you need both. So for me, I'm like, okay, right now, I need a coach because there's just things that I need to get accomplished, and I don't do well with that on my own sometimes. So,
And that holds you accountable too. So I love it. I
yeah,
love it. I look forward to it. Hearing about your experience. So for me, we have talked about coaches, mentors, and sponsors. So now that I'm with this new company, I'm navigating new terrain. And so I'm not even 6 months in just yet, but I decided let me sign up for this diversity mentorship program, right? And this was something unique that they're offering to underrepresented minorities. They call it a URM. And they partner you with other people who do not look like you. So I've been partnered with the white male executive, which is awesome. So it's a start. It's the start to building relationships because I've started this job virtually. So it's unique. You're not in the office, you're not in front of anyone. So how will I be exposed to anyone without either working with them? So I was like, I'm going to join, even though I'm new. And so I'm looking forward to that. My first session is tomorrow.
Where's
So
he
I've been,
located?
he's in San Francisco.
Nice.
Yes. So,
I'm
yeah, I'm
excited.
looking.
Look at us investing in our professional life and our
Yes.
development.
So stay woke professionally because that's important. That's how you're going to get ahead is
Yes.
by staying woke. And I'm passing that down to my child, right?
Yes.
And we have to enable and empower them and not do things for them. So like I'm intentional about, yeah, I can use my connections. I can I don't even like to use the word use, but I can leverage my connections, but you also have to do the work. But I'm going to tell you and give you tips, but you have to go and execute.
Yes. That's good.
Yeah. So, and I think you do a great job about that with the boys and bringing them in terms of networking. So just setting your kids up and so that they know the importance of relationships because they can take you far.
That is so true. Which does lead into the next thing.
Personally, right? So tell me, yeah, how are you staying work personally? We're in a pandemic. I think some of the kids are physically attending school, and then we have kids who are virtually. So you are parenting from home in the pandemic, and you're also now doing homeschool. So you had some wins there this week, right?
This week was a good week. I'm the type that I'm very flexible when it comes to seeing what works, what doesn't work. Let's try something different. I feel like I am definitely the staying woke part to me is staying woke with what your kids need to learn, right? Like you can get frustrated with it and be like, you just need to do this and da, 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 da. And it's like, why do that when you can just adjust, and change it. So I'm quick to changing things. I started a new assignment. Like they made me feel good because when it came to spelling, we have this certain curriculum that you walk through, and I was having them walk through the curriculum. But I was like, they're not retaining this. Like you go through this today and then tomorrow you going through that. You're not remembering all those words. You're not remembering all that. And I wasn't doing anything to like necessarily test
Mm-hmm.
It later, like it was just like you go through the questions, you go through the this, like a couple pages, and then you're done. And then you move on to some new ones. So I was like, I don't like that. We're gonna go back to the beginning of the book. Every word that you learned in each lesson, we're gonna create flashcards out of it. I had them create the flashcards. I showed them, they have a dictionary in the back of the spelling book. You go find, if you don't know what the word means, you need to write on the back what the definition of it is. And then I'm going to test you when you come back from your dad's. So they come back on Monday night. So Tuesday was the test is Tuesday. That's the idea, right? So what I was really excited about was like they came back and they were like, Marvin's like, I know my words. I got my stuff. Like they really studied. Like they really, because I wanted to see like, are they going to really work on this? LJ is the type that he just won't. He'll try to act like, hopefully you forgot, but because Marvin was doing it and his dad did that, he helped him, with some of it. And so it was just really cute. Like LJ was like cramming. Marvin was not like right before the test. What exactly is this test gonna be like? Like, what's all gonna be on there? And I'm like, they're taking me seriously as a teacher. Like, that was so cool to me. Like, I'm like, they're actually like doing the stuff,
Right.
So that allowed me to get creative and stuff, So as we go through the test, I just had each of them. I gave them the word, and then I had them write it down. And then afterward, I went through whatever they got wrong and told them, remember, this sounds like this. A CH sometimes can sound like a K. And, this is why you got that wrong. I really go through and explain, all the stuff. And then this week, so they were like, well, we're going to study different this time because we weren't really studying the words, how they spell. We were mostly like making sure we knew what they meant. I'm like, okay, cool. So this week, I want to try to focus on the letters, like actually spelling it correctly. Because we watched this spelling bee documentary on Netflix where, and that was really good, actually. So they started being like, oh, like we are behind, like compared to the kids that are like competing in these things.
Right.
I said, but look at how they're studying. Look at how they're, they're spending all day in the dictionary. Like that is their,
that's
Roblox. That's their video games. That's their all that stuff y'all doing. They're spending more time doing this than any of us have done in our life, probably on anything. So it motivated them by seeing that. And then now, just watching them. And so I was like, it
inspired them probably.
It did inspire them. And I was like, y'all don't have to be like that, but you see what they're doing and what the result is, so.
And they probably have a coach.
Right. They do. They are part of different programs that have them standing up there, testing it. They didn't been on stages multiple times before they got on that first one that mattered. They've been doing this, a part of groups and communities and all this stuff that do this on a regular. So anyway, it was just very inspiring as a mom and as a teacher, right. That, oh, they're actually, I didn't have to do a whole bunch of motivational speeches or anything, but I do have them recite. It's a I want to call it a poem, but it's a poem called Great Somebody.
Mm-hmm.
If y'all ever look it up. And basically it's something that it's like an affirmation type of thing that I have them. One of his second grade teacher, it's called A Great Somebody by Adrian Seeley Hardesty, and I'll read it to y'all right quick. It's short, but they know it by heart kind of. So it's like when I feel like I try to do it in the morning so that they have that in their mind as they start their day. But if I ever feel like let's say we forgot and they're not in the mindset, I'm like, hold on, and I'll pull it up and they'll be like, oh Lord. It's also a test of their public speaking. And can you enunciate your words and look me in my eyes as you're saying this, convince me that you believe what you're saying type of thing. So it's called A Great Somebody. It says, I am a serious child. I am a serious child with serious goals. My life is destined to be filled with positivity. I am a worker. If it takes hard work, I will do it. I am a clean somebody. I know that if I lie down with hogs, I will come up with mud. So I will keep my mind, my body, and my character clean. I am intelligent. My brain is a storage place. I will fill it to the brim with knowledge and look forward with hope of what tomorrow will bring. I am a child hero. I don't spend time wasting time because I know there is room at the top for me. I am the greatest somebody there is. Start leading me now, teacher. Start guiding me now, teacher. Start praising me now, teacher, and you will see me rise to the highest heights.
I love it.
So
I think that is so important. So for a stint, Kiara went to St. Philip's. And one of the things, like when I went down to St. Philip's that attracted me to the school was number one, they had a creed. And this creed is what they recited every day, literally during chapel. And when you visit, they usually have they stop 2 or 3 kids in the hallway and just say recite the creed, like just
random.
off the back. Random, like be prepared to stop and recite that creed. And when those kids recited the creed to me and they gave me eye contact, I was like, whoa, this is where Kiara needs to be, because I think there's a confidence that comes with public speaking, and the fact that they could hold eye contact. You have adults who cannot hold eye contact, right? And that creed, I believe that creed was life-changing, because you are forced to say that every day, and it's instilling and affirming in you that you are destined for greatness. Like, it was amazing. And even I don't know if it was Fridays or if it was every day, they played the song I Love School. So the kids are singing that. And I'm like, I love school. And you are, that's embedding. I was like, them darn kids in Chicago need to hear I Love School.
It's real though, because it really like LJ had a breakthrough. I'm gonna call it a breakthrough, not a breakdown.
I love it,
because I was having him do that, and he kept on rocking and fidgeting and doing all these things. He has some ADD stuff going on, ADHD stuff. But I'm like, no, I told him, I said, you are in control of yourself.
Yes.
Stop yourself. I'm like showing him how to hold your hands like this and let them hang down so that you're not moving. And he was struggling so hard to where it was so hard for him just to stop his body from moving while he was standing there. And he started crying, right? And I just let him have that moment. I stood there and I'm like watching him. I was like, why are you crying right now? What are you feeling like? What do you, he was like, he wasn't really articulating. I said, are you crying because I'm challenging you? Are you crying because you're struggling to stop your body from moving? Like, say what is the feeling, And then I had him, I didn't give in to it because, it's hard. I have a hard time watching LJ. LJ, that boy, I just, when he cries, it makes me want to cry. So I put my feet on top of his. I had his arms in my hands, and he started reciting that thing. And when I felt his body shifting, I was like controlling him like a video game kind of thing. And he started kind of laughing a little because I'm really like holding him still. Like I'm trying to like adjust my body. It was this whole moment, but I'm like, as a parent, we gotta know. We gotta connect with our kids. Like, don't just yell at them for everything, or just be compassionate about the situation. Hold them accountable. Be strong about it. Like, I didn't let him just quit, and be like, oh, it's okay. Come in and hug. No, I'm raising the man. So I need to, and he has a father and all that good stuff, but I can't let him just quit on himself in a moment just because something felt like it was too hard. Like, that's not the type of parent.
They need that pressure. They need that pressure. Like, diamonds are made in pressure, right? Mm-hmm. Wine is made from the pressure of grace.
Exactly.
So we got to put the pressure on our kids, but have that compassion, because I know what you're talking about. Like, knowing your kids' learning style, knowing where they have challenges, but pulling that out of them. So I'm glad you were able to help him through that, because every child doesn't learn the same either. So you've identified a way where he could be motivated. And I know you do a great job of like picking out good Netflix series. Yeah. And so when you said that, I immediately thought about that series Rap Game, where he told him about holding the mic, and he walked around with that mic to practice. That's really essentially the same thing that you're doing.
I show them those kind of shows for a reason. Like, they think, oh, this is just our show that we watch every night. It's entertaining. I use it as a learning tool every time. Every episode is a learning. I'm like, see how he gave up, or see how she didn't quit, and see how they were in their face and they still had to like do these, like I'm showing them, pulling out those pieces that I'm like, I want them to pick up on, so that they're not just like weak out here. I'm sorry. You got to learn how to stand up and open your eyes and look people in the eyes and say what you need to say. I also articulate that, hey, you're my child. You can't be out here being no punk. I'm sorry. That's like, You're gonna have to learn how to talk to people in the face. I'm like, if I raised you, you should be able to look at anybody and
In
say
the face, in the
anything.
eyes.
Exactly. I'm like, these are the safest eyes you're ever gonna look into. This how I did LJ today. These are the safest eyes you'll ever stare into. Stare into them. Every feeling you feel. I'm your mother. This is the safest place ever. Like, if you can look into my eyes and say something to me with conviction, you on your way.
Right. Exactly. I tell you, I used to have staring contests with Kiara. Like,
We do
stare
that.
me down.
We do
Stare.
that.
We need to learn to teach our kids eye contact because there are adults who do not have eye contact. And I'm gonna be honest, if you can't hold eye contact, I'm looking at you sideways, like, what's going on?
I'm like, yeah, it's questionable. It's questionable. So what about you? What are you staying woke about personally?
Personally, so this week, I took care of some things that needed to be taken care of a while ago. One, we did a podcast with Lauren about estate planning way at the beginning of the year. I finally got that done. So I know.
I need an applause button.
You're so silly. So took care of that when it had that notarized, and I'm just glad to have that.
Yes,
That's
I'm proud
done.
of you.
I should have had that done a long time ago.
But you didn't, and now you do.
Yep. When you know better, you do better, right?
I'm so proud.
I also finally sent off for my license to carry. So I had already done the qualification in terms of taking the class. But then and added, I went to a gun show this weekend and I purchased a gun.
She packing now, y'all. She out here. We're gonna be
range life. So now we're at real range life, golf and guns.
And do you know they said that women are black women are some
black women.
Yeah, that we're getting these licenses and stuff pretty at a rapid pace.
Well, it goes back to being the most unprotected women on earth, right?
On somebody.
Unprotected people. Like, I mean, I just saw something. I think I should have sent it to you. I don't think I did, but locally, a guy was at a bar, followed this chick home and beat her. At Shaker Teeny's, he followed her from there and then went to across the street to some other restaurant and then ended up following her over to the next suburb in McKinney. I'm gonna send it to you. And I was like, oh my gosh.
That's why I was like behind me when I leave places.
Well, I always watch to see if someone's following me, and then I'm gonna follow you right onto that police station. You keep playing with me.
Exactly.
So like I will turn off to see if you follow me. I'm gonna do a couple of turns.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's the Chicago in me. But
that's the Richmond in
me. Always watching. Like I'll turn if I think that you're following me and I'm in my subdivision. I'm gonna turn on a different block. I'm not turning on my block.
Yeah. I've gone out. I had that happen to me probably some months back before the pandemic and stuff. And I went out. I went over to the next neighborhood. I went in there to see. I'm like, if this car comes in this street, like I know that you're following because ain't nothing over here.
Correct.
So, yeah, you gotta.
Yes. So I finally took care of that. So I plan to practice, and then I started watching Home Edit on Netflix.
Girl, I love that show.
So I'd already started the process of purging, just because I feel like I have to let go of some of the old in order to walk into the new.
Come on,
and
somebody.
So you know how you have clothes that's attached to some memories that you're like, okay, that person, let me get rid of this. And just like, I feel like I'm okay. I've started a new job. That's so old. My old job, that's not even my style anymore.
Come on, somebody.
And so I was like, it's still gently used and I plan to donate it to like a women's shelter. But I continued. I was like, that Home Edit had me inspired. I'm in there just throwing clothes. Like, I don't need those shoes. Nope, don't need that. I'm walking in different shoes.
That pantry had me expired. I was like, oh, I really want to do something in here.
I haven't gotten to that episode yet, so I'm just still on the closet. So I was like, I don't want to move ahead till I get rid of the closet, till I fix up the closet. But I made a lot of progress in the closet. So it was liberating to get rid of the past and things that I don't even use, right? Like, I'm like, I don't even wear this blouse anymore. That's not even my style. And these boobs have grown, so I can't even fit in this. Let this go. Yeah, girl, they still growing. I'm still growing.
Girl, we got to reduce.
Right. So, yeah, that's what I did personally.
That's good. I think We talked about tricks of the enemy. And just to add as a little bonus here, we need to also be mindful and stay woke on all these people who we have untied from, that try to resurface, during the pandemic and Ramadan. We got to continue to hold fast to our conviction.
Because you know what it is, right?
They bored, they lonely.
No, it's cuffing season.
Yeah. I don't subscribe. I'm not subscribing to that anymore.
I don't subscribe to that either.
Subscribe to that at all. I used to, but I don't know more. Yeah, that was so 2019. That was so 2019.
Look at the evolution, right? We talked about that last week. We've evolved.
That's so 2019. I'm not interested. And it's so funny because I feel like now that I'm being so much more self-aware and reflecting and doing all this, it's like clockwork. I can almost predict when I'm going to hear from somebody, from the past. And I'll be like, devil. We not that they're a devil, but the devil will use people to
he sends angels and he sends other people too.
To try to
distractions they would say distractions. I think Darius talked about distractions today too.
Try to get you off your square, and that's not gonna happen. So yeah, no, we're not doing that. We're not going backwards anymore. Let's continue to stay forward, because ladies, I'm sure there are plenty of you out there that have had some text messages and how you doing and how you feeling and everything going on in the world, trying to act all concerned. Listen,
don't waste your WAP.
They wasn't acting concerned before. So let's keep that same energy that we had prior to the pandemic. Okay.
Staying woke.
Stay woke. Just stay aware. And also just pay attention to your own cycle and patterns. It's not necessarily even about that person specifically. It's not even, because to me, it's not. Like, it's about
looking on pages that you've disconnected.
And unfollow these people. All your exes, unfollow these men. Unfollow them. We don't need to follow them. What are we looking for? What are we looking?
They're not leading.
And you don't need to. You're not gonna be with them. You're not. You don't need to be with them. You don't really want to be with them. But then you start seeing the pictures, and you just helping create something that doesn't need to be created. Just either block, unfollow. That doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just means that you're moving on.
Not for you.
It's time to move on. So yeah, that's just my bonus stay woke thing for whoever can catch that. If this is for you, then it's for you. If it ain't, that's fine. But that's one out there.
So I love it. So let's pivot into the new segment that we have added, which I love. It was a great idea. So shout out to Aries. Since we're about personal growth and just development, we wanted to add a component or a segment about what did you learn about yourself this week? So Aries, did you want to highlight anything about the segment or share what you learned this week?
What I learned about myself this week is that when I focus, I can get a lot accomplished. When I put my mind to something, I told you yesterday, I was for 4 hours in front of my computer on some stuff that was not work related, that was not, it was like I had my mind on getting an answer to something. And I was just like, you can do this. Like, I just went down this thing and I felt so productive and like accomplished in what I was trying to do. Because I didn't have any distractions. I wasn't looking at Instagram and all that while I was doing it. I had just got lost in what I was doing. And I was like,
I love it.
This is awesome. I wish I could do this every single day. Which is another reason why I got the coach, right? So like not only discovering things, but actually action-based
executing
results. Yeah. It's like saying, okay, I'm discovering that I'm this kind of way. Like you were talking about some of the stuff earlier. And I'm like, but what am I do about it? Do you just say, this is how I am? Or are you going to actually act? So for me, I'm like, I said I wanted a coach. I mentioned it a couple of times, like a couple of weeks ago. And now I'm actually acting on that, because I'm like, I know I could do a lot if I have the right people in my corner to help me. So for me, that was one of my things that I learned about myself this
That's ironic. I mean, that's what I actually wrote out is that what I learned about myself is this week and actually over the past couple of weeks with everything going on, it's been hard to focus, right? But I am getting back to my to-do list. I love lists. I'm a list girl.
Mhm.
Um, but not over listing everything because sometimes you can list too much and not accomplish it. So I always like to say,
Mhm.
okay, what are the top 3 to 5 things? But I realized that I need to focus and time block. Like that's why I was able to get the estate plan done. Like I gave myself a timeline. That's why I was able to say, okay, go get your gun license and your application. Get that in because I procrastinate. I'm bad at procrastinating. So I'm trying to get better at minimizing those distractions, right?
So for
So
you as a procrastinator, it was important for you to set like a deadline
yeah.
for yourself to get something done. I
Yep.
like
And it
that.
was just like, okay, this month, like give yourself 30 days. Like, I want to do this. Like, there's some things
And
that I
just
want.
a couple things. Don't
Yeah,
list the
don't try to do
whole.
five and like just maybe two things you want to accomplish. So now that I have that checked off, now I can go and focus on the other two things.
Yes.
It's not about the quantity, but it's about the quality of what I'm
Yeah.
getting.
I love it.
So I figure I was like, Kim, just focus. Like, even with the foundation, like that's my new thing. Like, okay,
There you go.
focus on that thing and those two things. So my next focus is stuff at the house for the remainder of the year. What do I need to accomplish before the end of the year? So we're still in October, November, December. What am I going to do?
I got some things. Mine is work related stuff. I already started working on the plan for that. I love that. I love that. And I agree because that's kind of how I am. It's like I only can focus on one or two things. I can't have.
I got to touch of adult ADD.
Oh, me too.
Like
Sure.
even like the whole gun process was like, okay, sit down. They were like, well, what kind of gun do you want? All right, I need to sit down, time block, and use like a time to research what is it that I'm looking for. Right. So that was a whole process.
Yeah, same. I'm glad for you. So now we can go to the range and shoot our guns.
Ladies' night.
We're so Texas now.
We are. I think I might wear my cowboy boots too when I go.
Oh Lord, here we go.
All right. So I think we've had a long podcast today, but I thought that I think it was a good one, right? So I hope that those who are listening that you are encouraged to stay woke politically, personally, and professionally. And I would say the call to action is to figure out what does that look like for you? What does staying woke look like for you in those areas?
Yes. Vote.
You have a call to action? Yep.
Vote. Vote. Get your family out there to vote. I bring my boys with me every time. They were very helpful to my mom.
Oh, good.
Polling station, showing her how to do the stuff. Because every time I vote, I have my boys with me. Because I want them to understand the process and see what kind of things are on there and all that, just so that they're familiar. But yeah, vote.
They know the importance of it because if they see you do it, they're going to more than likely do it. And I think that's something that we need to make sure that we're doing is that our kids see us voting and staying woke.
LJ was like, didn't we already vote? I'm like, well, that was the primaries. That was to make sure that we got, this candidate in and like explaining all that stuff so that he knew what was going. He's like, oh, okay. I'm like, no, this is the one that's the main, the big one. So
so Blackish did a special episode called Votish. Excuse me. You might want to go out there and look at it with the boys where they break it down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't watch Blackish, so I need to
it was a special. It came on like on a Saturday or Sunday, and I was like, oh, it was like a couple of hours. I mean, like 2 or 90 minutes or something like that. So I want to go back and watch it. So
it's on ABC. Maybe,
yep.
Okay.
Or Hulu. Yep. So
cool. Yeah, so that's my main call to action. I mean, right now that, and then block any distractions, anything that tries to distract you. Right now, we're turning that last quarter, that little corner for the quarter.
Yep.
We're in Q4, now. So just to get, I don't know. I just feel like it's time to just prioritize what we are trying to do here. Like
mobilize, strategize
for your life. For your life. What are you trying to do? Like, I don't want to just love this place and keep this mundane, like, trying to look good on Instagram and impress people that don't really care.
Or who aren't what they supposed to be.
Yeah, so it's like just work on you. You know, we're always about the personal development and all that stuff. So just try to work on you as much as possible. What else do we say? And stay woke. Stay woke.
Love it. All right. Well, I think that wraps up the episode, and I hope you all enjoy it. Please rate and review us, right?
Yes. And if you feel so inclined, join us next Sunday at 3 Central in the what's it called? Bold Black Girls Tribe group on Facebook. You can find us Bold Black Girls Tribe. Add yourself. We'll bring you into the group, and you can join in on the discussion. Have a bold week. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.